Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I want to talk about the Blacklist, in particular Liz's character, like the direction her character is going, especially this season, that being season 5. Obviously, I'm going to be talking about spoilers, so if you're not caught up with the Blacklist, do not watch this. Obviously, catch up with the Blacklist and then like come watch this afterwards if you feel like it. So it's very interesting because I feel like I like what they're doing with Liz's character this season. Obviously, this is the season like dealing with the fact is that obviously at the end of season 4, Liz is like, oh my god, Red, you're my dad, which she obviously already had her suspicions earlier in the series, but they were kind of like, oh yeah, they were kind of taken out of her mind because it's like, he must not be my dad then. But obviously subsequently since learning that he is her dad, it seems like we've kind of seen a darker side in Liz, because it seems like a lot of times she'll kind of do stuff kind of similar to Red. Like there was that whole Blacklister they went after because like ultimately it was like the whole thing was just so Red could get a coin from him, and when Liz found out, she's like, oh this was just to steal a coin. She's like, actually it's just kind of excited, but you see this look on Red's face, like it wasn't enjoyment. It's kind of like, okay, wait, what? Because it's something I constantly talked about when it comes to the Blacklist, that the fact is Red doesn't want Liz to be anything like him. He's fine with Liz being the way she is because he is the way he is. There's no changing him, but I don't think he ever wants to compromise who Liz is. And you see that as this season has progressed, we've seen kind of that darker side, especially with everything that happened with Tom. Like that brought out her darker side. You can make the argument that that side of her that's very much like Red is coming out more so, and I think with each step, you know, Red sees that, so he's trying to keep her from going down that path. But right now she's so focused on revenge, she doesn't care about it. Like, oh, if I do stuff now that I can't sleep with later on, so be it, but for right now I don't care. I just want to get revenge. I want to find the people that killed my husband. Which obviously that situation gets a little sticky when you see the fact is that Red is working with Ian because he wants to get those bones back before Liz or anyone else finds out the truth about whatever secrets they're like hiding. Because the interesting thing to me is, I guess like the entire series is already kind of shown. Like I think it's kind of interesting because at least how I look at it, I feel like Liz kind of has impulse control issues in some regards, and you can make the argument that that stems from Red. Which even then, like I've talked about this in like the podcast when I've talked about episode, I'm still kind of on the fence of whether he really is or like, I don't know, there's still some part of my brain that still doesn't think Red's actually her dad, that there's still more to that. But you know, I'm there, but at the same time I'm like, there's still got to be more to that. But you know, maybe I'm just like, you know, my suspicions are just driving me to think too much about it. But nevertheless, the reason why I talk about that is like, you take the example of why she was on the run in season 3 at all. That's because wasn't it the Attorney General, the dude that was part of the cabal that she killed at the end of season 2? Wasn't he like the Attorney General or whatever? I always forget like who exactly he was, but she didn't have to do that, but she felt inclined to do it. And I think, I don't know, like I do feel like that does seem like it stems from potentially some impulse control issues, but maybe that's just me. And I feel like that's something she has a lot in common with Red, as I was kind of bringing up earlier. Because it's like Red kind of does things his own way and screw the consequences. And I think like, especially as the series progresses, I feel like Liz has adopted that a lot more. It's, you know, especially more recently with the situation, because it's kind of interesting because of her whole revenge mindset. She's joined up with her therapist. She finds out her therapist is like some vigilante that's basically joined up with this other dude and was killing bad people. And Liz cornered her, knew exactly who she was, let her go, and then, you know, like when it came to like wrestlers, like, oh, what happened? It's like she got away. Doesn't acknowledge the fact that she knows her, so she's keeping that a secret. Even going as far as being like, when she meets up with her therapist, who gives her job back at the FBI, she's like, hey, hopefully I can come to you in the future. And it's like, that doesn't seem like a Liz thing to do. That seems like a Reddington thing to do, just to kind of like potentially set up new allies. She even kind of makes comparisons between herself and Red, because she's like, Red would do something like this, so why wouldn't I? And I've already talked about, I'm curious to see what that could potentially mean for later on. Because I guess the argument could be made that she's positioning her therapist to be her sword, in case it's like, well, Liz might have like, you know, Ian, for example, like maybe ultimately Liz will use her therapist to get to Ian. It's like, well, he's a very bad guy, and it's like, I want you, you know, I mean, to be fair, like her therapist kind of wants her like to be her partner in all of this. So whether Liz will do that or not, I don't know. I'm curious to see would that be the direction we see Liz kind of going, very more vigilante. Like I said, because up to this point, she'd always kind of lived by the rules. She's been kind of straight and narrow. Like obviously not to the extent like wrestler ass, but she's been on a good path. And like I said, I feel like that's something Red wants her to be, like that. He doesn't want her to go down his path, but I'm curious to see where we will see the Liz going from here. I mean, because I'm curious, like, will that be the direction the series takes for her past this, past her revenge, no matter how things play out with Ian? When it, obviously, I get the feeling like no matter what happens, she's going to get her revenge against Ian, but who will Liz be when it's all said and done? Will she go back to being who she was? Will she be able to forgive herself for all the bad stuff that she's done, like the whole Navarro situation? Like, she didn't want things to go down the way they did with Navarro, but they did. She cleaned up the crime scene and everything. There's a whole thing with Singleton because she probably blames herself for getting Singleton involved in all of this. I mean, it's also because it's like, well, the same guy that killed Singleton is also the man who killed my husband, so it's like double reason to be pissed at him. It's just, I feel like when it's all said and done, I feel like we've seen Liz kind of compromise her own code as the series has progressed, especially this season. Like I said, falling more into that, like, you know, because it's like she's accepted her role a lot more as like, oh yeah, I am Raymond Reddington's daughter, and it feels like she's kind of, it's like, this is a part of who I am, and obviously it's a good thing to accept that, but it's like, I feel like she's accepting it once again without consequence, you know, not thinking of trying to be more her. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but when I watch it, I just feel like she's leaning way more into Reddington just than being herself. Because I feel weird, because I feel like the moment she found out that this whole situation with Tom played out because it was connected to a secret Reddington was keeping, and that's what got Tom killed, I'm like, I would think Liz in the past would not be so willing to continue working with him, but I guess because she is so focused on her revenge, she knows that the best way she can get it is with his help, but also because she knows that it's her dad, so she's not willing to completely cut ties with him like she would in the past. At least that's how I feel like it. I don't know, maybe, like I said, this is just me thinking these thoughts out loud. I don't know. Let me know all your thoughts about it. Do you think when it all is said and done that Liz will become a lot more like Reddington? Do you even think the possibility is she could be worse than Reddington? Or do you think when it's all said and done with her revenge, she will try and pull it back, but the question will be, will she be able to? Will she even bother trying? Like I said, especially with everything that's kind of being set up with her therapist. I'm curious to actually see, will she ultimately turn her therapist in at the end? Will she kind of do a Reddington thing of like, well, I don't really need you anymore, so I'll cast you aside? And also what that would all potentially mean for her relationship with the FBI, not just because of who she's becoming right now and the route she's going down, but potentially if the truth comes out about everything about Liz knowing that she let this vigilante person, you know, her therapist, get away knowing exactly who it was. Like, I think sooner or later her therapist's identity is going to come out, and it's like, whoa, Liz, didn't you see the killer? How'd you not know it was her? Like, you go to this person every, you know, so I'm sure it's going to raise a lot of questions. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this video. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, light to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.